Episode 1. Always put quality, safety, and security first. Aum Namapegavaith Vasudevya. Imagine boarding an airplane with your family. The doors close. The engines begin to roar. Just before takeoff, the captain walks out of the cockpit. He smiles and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, today we were running behind schedule, so we skipped a few safety inspections. We hope everything works." What would you do? Would you fasten your seatbelt? Or would you immediately walk out of that aircraft? Most people would never accept such a risk. Yet every single day, millions of people do exactly that. Not inside airplanes, but in their careers, their businesses, their relationships, their finances, and even their health. They skip quality. They ignore safety. They underestimate security. Until one day, a small shortcut becomes a life-changing mistake. If you want to become a leader whom people trust, someone who builds lasting success instead of temporary achievements, stay with me until the very end. Today's principle has protected great civilizations, world-class organizations, and exceptional leaders for generations, and it can transform your life too. Quality, safety, security. These are not three separate ideas. They are three pillars supporting every meaningful achievement. Remove one, and the entire structure eventually begins to collapse. Think about the world's greatest bridges. People admire their beauty. Very few admire the thousands of inspections hidden beneath the concrete. Think about a surgeon. Patients remember the successful operation. Very few appreciate the countless safety checks completed before the first incision. Think about a successful company. Customers see the finished product. They rarely see the disciplined systems protecting quality behind the scenes. Excellence is almost always invisible. Failure, unfortunately, is usually very visible. Peter Drucker once said, "Quality in a product or service is not what the supplier puts in, it is what the customer gets out." Think about those words. Quality is not a slogan printed on a wall. It is a promise kept when no one is watching. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us to perform our duty with sincerity and excellence without becoming careless or attached to shortcuts. Excellence itself becomes an offering. When we treat every responsibility as sacred, ordinary work becomes extraordinary. Let me tell you a story. In 1982, 7 people in the United States died after taking capsules of a popular pain relief medicine that had been maliciously tampered with after reaching store shelves. The company faced a crisis that could have destroyed its reputation forever. Instead of protecting short-term profits, it immediately recalled millions of bottles from the market. The financial loss was enormous. People questioned the decision, but the company's leaders understood something priceless. Money can be earned again. Trust cannot. Their commitment to consumer safety became a defining example of responsible leadership and helped rebuild public confidence. That decision teaches us a timeless lesson. Protecting people always creates greater value than protecting profit. If this lesson already resonates with you, write one word in the comments. Excellence. One word. Because excellence is never an accident. It is a decision, repeated every single day. Now here's something most people never realize. Quality is not created during inspection. Quality is created during preparation. Imagine a master chef preparing a meal. Fresh ingredients, clean utensils, careful measurements, proper timing. Guests praise the delicious food. But the meal was actually decided long before it reached the dining table. Likewise, your future is being prepared by today's habits. Your career is being prepared by today's discipline. Your reputation is being prepared by today's choices. And your character is being prepared by what you do when no one is watching. Chanakya wisely observed that before beginning any task, one should ask 3 questions. Why am I doing this? What might the consequences be? Will I succeed? Notice, he did not encourage haste. He encouraged thoughtful action. Great leaders understand that speed without quality eventually creates delay. Speed without safety creates accidents. Speed without security creates vulnerability. In today's boardrooms, the most respected organizations don't merely chase quarterly profits. They build systems. They build standards. They build cultures where every employee understands that doing the right thing matters more than doing the quick thing. Because culture is what people do when the manager is absent. And character is what you do when nobody is watching. But here's where everything changes. Quality isn't only about products. It is about conversations. Will you speak with quality? It is about decisions. Will you decide with quality? It is about parenting. Will you raise children with quality values? It is about friendships. Will you become a quality friend? It is about leadership. Will people feel safer because you are leading? Quality begins long before success arrives. It begins inside the mind. Imagine building a magnificent palace on weak foundations. From the outside, everything looks impressive. Beautiful walls, elegant decorations, luxurious rooms. Visitors admire the architecture. Photographs capture its beauty. But hidden beneath the surface, tiny cracks have already begun to grow. One day, without warning, the entire structure collapses. People often say, "It happened suddenly." The truth is, it never happened suddenly. Failure had been quietly developing for years. Life works exactly the same way. Every major failure usually begins as a small compromise. We'll fix it later. This shortcut won't matter. No one will notice. Just this once. History reminds us that disasters are rarely caused by one giant mistake. They are often the result of many small ignored warnings. The Roman philosopher Seneca wisely observed, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Preparation is another word for quality. Without preparation, opportunity often becomes pressure. With preparation, pressure becomes performance. Look at elite athletes. People see the Olympic medal. They don't see the thousands of mornings when the athlete woke up before sunrise. They don't see the disciplined diet, the endless repetitions, the corrections, the sacrifices. Champions never practice until they get it right. They practice until they cannot get it wrong. That is the power of quality. Now let's talk about safety. Many people misunderstand safety. They think safety slows progress. In reality, safety protects progress. Imagine a Formula One race. Those cars travel at breathtaking speeds. Yet before every race, hundreds of safety inspections are completed. Drivers wear specially engineered suits. Engineers inspect every component. Medical teams stand ready. Why? Because the faster you move, the stronger your safety systems must become. The same principle applies to life. The greater your ambition, the stronger your discipline must become. The larger your business, the better your processes must become. The bigger your responsibilities, the more carefully you must protect people. Safety is not fear. Safety is intelligent preparation. Now think about your family. Before crossing a road, you naturally hold your child's hand. You don't consider it unnecessary. You don't call it overthinking. You call it love. Real love protects. Real leadership protects. Real responsibility protects. Whether you are leading a company, managing a project, driving a vehicle, or guiding a family, people should feel safer because of your presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." In other words, challenges are not excuses to lower standards. They are reasons to strengthen them. If this message is reminding you of someone who always stands for excellence, write one word in the comments. Responsibility. Because every great leader understands that responsibility begins long before recognition arrives. Now let's look at the third pillar. Security. Security is much more than locks and passwords. Security is protecting what matters. Protecting your family. Protecting your reputation. Protecting your finances. Protecting confidential information. Protecting your health. Protecting your values. Imagine owning a magnificent castle. The walls are strong. The gates are beautiful. But every night, you leave the front door wide open. How long before someone takes advantage? Today's world demands a different kind of awareness. Cybersecurity, financial security, personal safety, emotional boundaries, identity protection. These are no longer optional. They are essential. The most successful organizations in the world invest enormous resources in prevention. Because prevention is always less expensive than recovery. The same principle applies personally. One health checkup may prevent years of illness. One emergency fund may prevent years of financial stress. One honest conversation may prevent years of misunderstanding. One careful decision may protect a lifetime of reputation. Benjamin Franklin famously said, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." Centuries have passed, yet those words remain timeless. Nature teaches the same lesson. Look at a beehive. Every bee performs its responsibility with extraordinary precision. Some gather nectar. Some protect the hive. Some care for the young. There is order, discipline, coordination, because survival depends upon everyone respecting the system. When individuals ignore standards, the entire colony suffers. Organizations are no different. Families are no different. Societies are no different. And neither are our lives. Before we conclude, ask yourself one simple question. If someone silently observed the way I work, the way I speak, the way I drive, the way I make decisions, would they describe me as a person of quality? Would people feel safe trusting me? Would they trust me with their family, their business, their confidence, their future? That answer matters far more than any title you hold. If today's message inspired you to raise your standards, subscribe and become part of this journey. Every week we explore timeless principles that help us become wiser leaders, stronger individuals, and more compassionate human beings. Share this episode with someone who believes that excellence is a habit, not an accident. Before you begin tomorrow, ask yourself one question. Will my next decision increase the quality, safety, and security of my life? Or merely satisfy today's convenience? That single question, repeated every day, can quietly transform your destiny. Remember, quality builds trust. Safety protects lives. Security preserves what matters. Together, they become the invisible foundation beneath every extraordinary achievement. Never sacrifice excellence for speed. Never sacrifice safety for convenience. Never sacrifice security for temporary gain. Because success achieved without quality eventually disappears. Success built upon quality, safety, and security becomes a legacy. May we choose excellence over shortcuts, preparation over carelessness, responsibility over convenience, integrity over temporary success. May we become better individuals, build stronger families, create a better society, and leave behind a better world for future generations. Aum Namapagavaith Vasudevaya.